And Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hey. 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 Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rakshamam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Rakshamam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahimam. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can you read the translation, please, Krishna Chandra Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu. O Krishna, please protect me and maintain me. O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect me. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain me.
Thank you. So, almost the start of a new year. How's your mother doing?
Well, thank you for asking, Prabhu. She has some pain due to some skin infection she got from the hospital. So we're just trying to manage it now.
Okay.
Yeah. But
seeing your mom is a reminder we're all going to have to go through.
Exactly. Yeah. Just trying to do my best to keep her as comfortable as possible.
That's very kind.
Try.
That means you'll be taken care of when it's
nice thought.
when it's your turn to be taken care of.
Yeah, because she took very good care of my grandmother for 10 years, so I feel like nice. It wouldn't be fair otherwise.
Yeah, that's Vedic culture.
Yeah.
Paradukkha dukkhi, a devotee feels suffering, knowing that others are suffering. And that's what's supposed to give us the incentive to go out and give Krishna's mercy to others,
Wow.
whether it's a vaccine protest or not.
Wow.
But especially during a vaccine protest rally, there's lots of people there. Yeah, I was told by some devotees from Brussels, January, is it January 23rd? Supposed to be 1 million people descending on Brussels.
Oh, wow.
Huge. Yeah.
Didn't know.
Okay, so I just made a little slide. Unfortunately, there's nobody here yet, but I made this earlier in the day. And this is the proposed schedule. Have a look at it. What do you think?
Okay.
Oh, I gotta put on the share screen. Okay. What do you think?
Okay. Question, answers, continue reading. If we can stick to this, that would be great. I think we should certainly try to do it and hope that we can stick to the schedule.
Now, I just talked to Mahabudhi Prabhu, because he voluntarily bowed out because see, the thing is, he's read these other books, Gopal Champu by Srila Jiva Goswami, which I looked at just before we started today. That's, I think, like, I don't know, 600 pages or something, which elaborates on the Krishna book.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. And that's Jiva Goswami. And then there's Ananda Vrindavan Champu. There's Hari Vamsa. There's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sarartha Darshini, which is his commentary and his revelations of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. So I find it's very fascinating, to get these other insights from our acharyas, in addition to what Prabhupada has given us.
Who has translated Gopal Champu?
Banu Swami.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to propose to the devotees tonight, because I tried to because Mahabudhi stepped out. He said he didn't want to create a disturbance for us. And so therefore he wouldn't participate. And I said, no. We want you to disturb us. No, I didn't exactly say that. I said, no, we welcome you. And I said, we'll have to make some special concession for you. And he said, oh, well, if you're going to say you're making a special concession for me, for sure I'm not going to come.
Oh, no.
So I said, just come. I said, don't be so humble.
Yeah.
But that's up to the rest of us, whether the rest of us are willing to stick by this schedule, but willing to make a concession for a special guest. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm offering this schedule with the what's the word I'm looking for? With the clause, with the option that for special guests we're willing to be more flexible.
That just happened.
So starting Wednesday, we're gonna log in at 7:15 p.m.
Yeah, I tried to do it tonight, but I was a little bit late, but at least we're earlier. So
sure, that's fine.
So why don't we start? I don't know who's going to come because it's holiday season. But I made this nice slide here. 10th Canto Srimad Bhagavatam Krishna book, chapter 47, the Song of the Bee.
Yes.
The Bhramara Gita. But if you look in the 10th canto, you won't see the title in, well, no, excuse me. You'll see the title, the Song of the Bee, but in the original Shastra, it's actually called Bhramara Gita. which means the Gita, the song of the Bhramara, the bee.
Right.
Yeah.
This, well, I think chapter 47, is that where like Ridayananda Maharaj translates it?
Yeah. Well, him and Gopi Pranadhan, and they're taking from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Sarartha Darshini. That's where they're getting from.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm providing us with the Krishna book text. But here and there, I'm trying to take a little. I mean, in this chapter, I haven't added anything to it. It's just the original chapter as Prabhupada spoke it in the Krishna book. But in the future, I would like to be more knowledgeable. So in case Mahabodhi is not on hand, during the 10-minute comment section, I might be able to sprinkle a little nectar in. Okay, so I also have Tridandi Swami. Maybe I could do a test run with you. I have Tridandi Swami here. I asked him if he could say a few words about this chapter, and he does. He says some really wonderful things.
Right.
But I'm just wondering if you'll be able to hear them. Yes. Why?
I'm sorry. So he's not directly logged in. Is he on the telephone?
He sent me a sound recording.
Oh, I see. So this is a pre-recorded thing.
Right.
I see.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. I thought maybe, I don't know. What do you think we should do? Should, play it since nobody's here yet except me and you?
It's a tough call only because we don't know if people are going to come. But now it's 7:45, so I would say like definitely in the next 5 or 10 minutes, if we don't see anyone else, I would say it's a good bet. We're not going to see that many more people, maybe one or two around 8 o'clock.
Okay, so right now they're celebrating Srila Narayan Maharaj's disappearance.
Oh yeah, you know what? I just got an invitation in my. Somebody sent me one about that. I forgot about that.
And the appearance day of Vaman Maharaj.
Oh, Vaman Maharaj, yes.
Both going on at the same time.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that Vaman Maharaj's appearance day was at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Now, let's see.
To study Upadeshamrita. I've taught it many times now.
Okay. Can you hear him speaking?
I can, yes.
Is it pretty loud?
Yep, clear enough.
Okay. I'm just trying to find his voice. Okay, maybe this is it.
Adandavat Skora. Haribol, Hare Krishna. So you're about to get into the Bhramara Gita, the song of separation that Radharani feels from Krishna, that is brought out, accentuated by the visit of Uddhav. When Uddhav was blessed with the order from his dear cousin, brother, friend, Krishna, to bring the message to Vrindavan in the 46th chapter. When he enters, Krishna gives him an amazing darshan of Braj as it is while he's there, while he's present. He sees the cows rutting in the fields. He hears the Gopis calling for the pails of milk. He hears the Gopis shouting out, catch the cow, let the cow go, etc. The Brahmins, their fires are burning beautifully. The birds are singing joyfully. Peacocks are dancing. The trees are laden with fruits and leaves. There's such a festive atmosphere while Krishna is there Krishna's just sent him from Mathura, and he's crossed this line of Aishwarya Bhav in Mathura, and he's come into this Madhurya Bhav. Uddhav, who's brilliant. Uddhav, the name itself means festival of joy. He's such a brilliant personality, disciple of Brihaspati, cousin brother of Krishna. And he enters Vrindavan, seeing this state of absolute bliss and joyfulness. But then Krishna steps out of the doorway. And as soon as Uddhav sees Krishna, he immediately offers Dandavat pranams. That's his nature. Uddhav is a Jnani Bhakta, in the sense that he only understands Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not beyond that. That's his Staibhav. He's a Dwarkavasi, Mathuravasi. He doesn't see Krishna in Madhurya Bhav, as becomes evident through this 46th chapter, the beginning, the introduction to this Bhramara Gita where you're about to enter. So as soon as he sees Krishna, he offers obeisances. And then when he gets up, of course, there's just devastation everywhere. Everything is completely lamenting for Krishna's, in Krishna's absence, in a mood of separation. And Uddhav is astonished at the contrast, of course, but he understands what he was gifted by Krishna. And then he makes his way to Nanda's palace. Yashoda Mai is there. She can't say a word. She's just sitting there. She's emptied herself of tears. There's all cobwebs over the kitchen. Nothing is being cooked or anything. But Nanda Baba knew that a guest was coming that day, so he asked a Brahmin to bring some sweet rice from his place, and the Brahmin brought the sweet rice. But my Gurudev used to say it didn't even have sugar in it. They were so much in a separation, lamenting mood. Anyway, Uddhav comes, speaks with Nanda Baba. Nanda Baba speaks many verses glorifying Krishna. And in one verse, he alludes to that perhaps Krishna and Balaram were demigods at the astonishment of killing Putana, Trinavrata, Shakatasura, Agasura, Bakasura, Pralamba, all these demons, and Kamsa, breaking the bow, Kuvalyapita, the elephant. So many massive demons that his little son had annihilated. But he only says one verse alluding to this, and the rest of the time his voice is quite choked and he's just remembering Krishna. And then Uddhav begins to speak, picking up this one single verse, glorifying Krishna as the Supreme Person, saying to Nanda Baba that he's not actually his son. He's the father of the universes, etc. And Nanda Baba just thinks to himself, I thought this person was intelligent, but he doesn't know that Krishna is actually my son. So Nanda Baba, he's not moved by the words, the Aishwarya moods of Uddhav. But still, he's getting some association, because Uddhav even looks a bit like Krishna. He's wearing the same type of clothes. He even arrived in the same chariot that Krishna left in, that special chariot of Kamsa's. And then the next morning, it's described how Uddhav goes to bathe in Krishna Kund. And he looks up, and he looks out across from Nanda's palace. Actually, Krishna Kund is at the bottom of Nandishwar Hill. And he looks out at the forest of Uddhav Kyari. And it was a Kadamba Kyari. It was a Kadamba forest. Today we call it Uddhav Kyari, because it's where Uddhav went and met the Gopis. And he sees this amazing forest of these massive trees. Even today, even 40, 50 years ago, the Kadamba trees were in display there in Braj, very large, beautiful trees. They've chopped some down, or they've just fallen down in separation now. But these Kadamba trees are just amazing. And he sees within this forest, deep in the forest, he can see through between the trees, the spaces between the trees. He sees these illuminating lights, and he knows it's the Gopis. And he sees one brilliant light there. And he assumes this must be Krishna's principal lover, Sri Radhika. So he makes his way there. He goes, because he has messages he's carrying from Krishna. And he goes within the forest, and the Gopis, they meet him. And they ask him many questions. And there's a beautiful exchange between them. They ask, you know, how do we understand whether the birds, they leave a forest after it's been burnt down. The prostitute will leave a man after she's got her money, etc. The priest will leave the yajna after he's been paid. And they exchange with Uddhav these different moods of really heartfelt, torturous separation from Krishna, even though, as was said in the 46th chapter, just previously, when Nanda Baba is speaking to Uddhav, he thinks at one point, can't Uddhav see, isn't he aware that Krishna is actually present? He's present in apricot. He's not present in the prakat lila. He's present when their consciousness has become immersed deeply, sufficiently in the separation, then they can see Krishna. That's called mohan. But until that stage is reached, they're not seeing Krishna. And the Gopis are the same. But they are in this tortured mood of separation. And in that mood, they're treating Uddhav really nicely, like a nice guest and so on, because they realize he must have come from Krishna. And then it's described, this particular Gopi, Shukadev doesn't even say her name, is in such a high state of madness in separation called Divyanmad. And she begins speaking these 10 verses called Chitra Jalpa, where her love comes out in a crooked way. If you really love somebody and they go away, you're going to be really angry with them for going away. But it's not like that with Radhika. She knows how much Krishna loves her, how Krishna can't live without her, just as she can't live without Krishna. She knows this. So in her loving mood, and Uddhav is astonished with these words, she begins to chastise this apparent bee that she considers has just come from Mathura. And she's either describing the bee as being Uddhav himself, or just a demented delusion state of consciousness that she's in. She's imagining this bee has come from Krishna with pink whiskers. The pink has come from the kumkum, decorating the Mathuravasi's ladies' breasts, which she assumes Krishna has been consorting with. So there's 10 verses together. I think it goes from about verse 12 through till verse 21. And the first is called Prajalpa, then Parijalpa, Vijalpa, Ujalpa, Sanjalpa, Avajalpa, Abhijalpa, Avjalpa, Pratijalpa, and Sujalpa. These 10 different types of moods. And it's interesting to appreciate how the rhythm of these 10 accusations towards Krishna, they're in a line of intensity. It begins gradually, where Radharani is denigrating the tactlessness of Krishna with disrespect towards him. And it's spoken in a mood of envy and jealousy and pride. And then it escalates. This Parijalpa, the next one, she's accusing Krishna of devious behavior and merciless duplicity. It's intensifying. And she's accusing him of ungratefulness. Rupa Goswami chalks this out. He defines each particular jalpa, and they escalate up to Sanjalpa, that's the 5th one, in sort of deriding Krishna. In Sanjalpa, this is the 5th one, this is speech that decries with deep irony and insulting behavior of the lover, and ingratitude and complete lack of love. And Uddhav, he's hearing all this with absolute astonishment, because he realizes this is the highest pinnacle of prem, that this gopi who's expressing these feelings of anger, it would appear, towards Krishna, Uddhav is smart enough to know that this anger is only caused by the extremity of her affection and love for Krishna. She's angry that he's gone away. He said he would just return after 2 or 4 days. He's said that, and he hasn't returned for months and months. I'm not quite sure how long it is before Uddhav comes with the message as a messenger. When Krishna goes to Mathura, he's sent almost immediately to Ujjain, to the ashram of Sandipani Muni, for 64 days to learn the 64 arts. And then he returns. So 70 or 80 days later, he's in Mathura feeling great separation and lamentation from the Brijbasis, knowing that he wants someone to go and pacify them. At that moment, Uddhav just appears in front of him on the rooftop. And Krishna understands, yes, I can send him. He's qualified. And Uddhav was the most qualified. He knew the most about loving relationships, but he didn't know anything about prem. He didn't know anything about Braja prem. So Uddhav is astonished that the gopis can speak in such a derogatory way towards this person that Uddhav thinks is the supreme personality of Godhead. And Uddhav is like utterly astonished, completely astonished. So after this Sanjalpa, which is the 5th verse describing this madness, this Chitra Jalpa, is unfolding in front of Uddhav. Then there's 5 more verses which seem to come out of the depth of her anger. Gradually, it's as if she becomes somewhat pacified by venting her feelings to this bumblebee. And then it goes through Avajalpa, Abhijalpa, Ajalpa, where it's progressively relaxing her intensity of disgust and anger at Krishna. And then there's Parijalpa, which is the 9th Jalpa. And then Radharani's statements now become quite humble, and she starts expressing respect for this messenger. But she's still referencing the licentious behavior of Krishna with other women. She hasn't forgiven Krishna. But she's still in a mood of anger, but she's softened.
We've been listening for the last 10 minutes a very wonderful recording that Tridandi Swami created for us, giving us a
Oh.
synopsis of this chapter and going into great detail about the Chitra Jalpa, the 10 different kinds of anger that Radharani is expressing while she's speaking to the bee. So we're almost,
Yeah.
I really wish you could have come earlier, but anyway, you're busy. But we're just finishing that right now, Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay, don't let us interrupt you.
Okay, I can try to see if I can send it to you later.
Oh, thank
That'll
you.
be great.
Final Jalpa, Sujalpa.
Sujalpa, final Jalpa.
This is out of honest sincerity. She actually begins to inquire about Krishna with gravity, humility, unsteadiness, and unique eagerness. So these are just absolutely beautiful qualities and characteristics of Sri Radhika that haven't been displayed anywhere else in the Bhagavatam. This is the 5th Gita. There's 5 Gitas. Venu Gita is chapter 21, then Pranaya Gita, chapter 29, and then Gopi Gita, chapter, 30, I think, or 31. And then there's Yuga Gita, I think it's 35 or 36. And then there's this Bhramara Gita. Gita is in reference to the separation of the Gopis. So these Gitas are the most powerful places to immerse ourselves in the Bhagavatam. And it's almost like Shukadev takes Krishna away from Vrindavan, but then after 5 or 6 chapters, he has to come back to Vrindavan again himself in the form of, he comes back with Uddhav and takes us to the highest extremity of description of Radhika's love for Krishna. Then the chapter goes on, of course, where Uddhav actually delivers his message and so on. And that's very beautiful because at one point he tells the gopis to close their eyes. And within that blinking of the eyes, just for a moment, they close their eyes. The entire Ras Leela takes place for the gopis. That's an entire night of Lord Brahma. It's described that time compresses itself into a moment. And then Uddhav tells them to open their, this is the message he's delivering from Krishna. So when he delivers this message, the gopis experience the entirety of the Ras Leela. So they're somewhat pacified because they've just experienced the entirety of the Ras Leela with Krishna in apricot. And then they emerge from that again. So this chapter is so intoxicating and beautiful. It's really special, Gora. But you really have to chant a lot to enter into it. You're not going to understand it just with a few rounds each day. It's got to be a regular focus of sadhana to appreciate the depth and extremity of the moods and qualities that Radhika is expressing. Okay, Gora, that's something about the Song of the Bee. You call it Bhramara Gita. It's the 5th Gita. Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Maharaj, thank you.
He has
Thank
a
you.
wonderful speaking voice. Very nice to hear from him.
Yeah, could everyone hear that? It was kind of soft. Yeah.
It was very clear for me.
He's got
Okay.
Dharma. Yeah, he has Jaga Dharma too and audio. Yes,
Right,
some work in audio is fantastic.
right.
Where can we acquire that? That would be nice to hear.
Let's go to his site. I'm sorry,
Oh.
you know.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It's not his site. What is it? bvtridandi.com? Something like
Yes,
that?
yes.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. So just to do a very brief recap, Baba Trini, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Nuri's still here for a second. He has to leave, but
Yeah.
we're so sorry we were late. We couldn't
I understand.
early.
I
And I
understand.
gotta go do some,
Yeah, I
take care of the
told him.
cows.
Yeah.
Wow, you're in the Krishna Lila. You have to go now?
Yeah, well, you were gonna say
Yeah.
something, so I thought
Yeah,
it could stay. for
Okay.
a little
Yeah, Pidani Maharaj, I just took a couple of notes on what he said. He said that Uddhava's name means festival of joy. And gee, I can hardly understand my own chicken scratcher. Maybe Krishna Chandra can remember some of the points, but he was saying that in this chapter, Bhramara Gita, Uddhava is crossing the line from Aishvarya Bhav into Madhurya Rasa.
Mm.
And that Uddhava offers his dandavats to Krishna. And I guess this was in Mathura. Is this in Mathura still? I guess so. Yeah, because Krishna's in Mathura, although he's also still in Vrindavan, even though the gopis are feeling great separation from him. Because there's the Prakrat and the Aprakat Leela going on simultaneously. So he was saying that Uddhava is a Jnani Bhakta, and that's why he offered his obeisances to Krishna. He was saying that the Uddhava is like a Mathura Vasi or a Dwarka Vasi.
Yes.
And that when Uddhava gets up, he sees the devastation. Everyone is lamenting about Krishna's absence. And Uddhava speaks to Nanda Maharaj, and Nanda Maharaj glorifies Krishna and Balaram and briefly alludes to them being like devas, killing so many massive demons. And Uddhava, Uddhava, the next morning, Uddhava bathes in Krishna Kund, which I think is either near or in Uddhava Kiari. The Uddhava Kiari. It's a forest.
Yeah, Uddhav Kiari. That forest, Narayan Maharaj revived it. And also they installed a temple now. You can see Uddhav in the temple. There is a little kund that he refurbished. And then he planted a bunch of Kadamba trees.
Nice.
At that spot, the description is that there is a forest of Kadamba trees.
Right.
And that's the spot where Krishna leaves them. And they stand there for forever, almost years. The pandas, you remember that we were talking about the pandas, the pandits, they call it pandas in Vrindavan. There are some really good ones. Unfortunately, there's a friend of Tridandi Swami, and he lived in Varsana, Nandagaon, and he will meet us down there in Uddhav Kiari. And
he would tell us the exact amount of time the gopis.
He knew, how many years
and
months and days they waited in that spot. They've never moved. So there is some really heart-rending stories. And he would dance and sing local Richvasi songs describing, for example, he took us from there to Nandagaon, and then there is a beautiful song that he will dance to, and what Krishna is telling Maya Jashoda what type of wife he wants. He's little, and he said, "I want her to be like this, like that, like you, mom." And it's just so adorable. It's like a little kid you can imagine, 10 years old, telling mom,
"It's in
when
bridge,
I'm married,"
not Hindi,
and it's all bridge, it's all local. So Tridandi Swami, when he was married, he has a son, Govardhan, and Govardhan was raised pretty much there in Vrindavan, so he speaks fluid.
And he knows the song and the dance.
He knows his song too.
But
he knows all the vocals.
This Panda passed away about a year ago, and he wasn't very old. I think he had a heart attack.
Yeah, he had some condition.
Yeah.
Too bad. I mean, we could have ended with the Bhramara Gita, the song of the bumblebee that Narayan Maharaj would ask us to sing.
No, not too bad. You can do it anytime. It's just, I mean, if you can't do it today, do it tomorrow, Wednesday.
Okay.
We could do it.
I don't want to
before you
interrupt.
leave.
Okay.
If you finish
fine,
that
but
part.
he needs to finish.
Oh, do you want to finish what you're saying and then?
I'm trying, yeah, but I wanted to make.
No, I won't let you. I'm like that.
Okay. Okay, so Uddhava takes his bath in Uddhava Kyari, and it's an amazing forest of Kadamba trees, although Maharaj said that due to separation, some have fallen down, or I don't know, hopefully
They were
didn't.
practically gone. You can see it now, like even just let's say 3 years ago when we went, they were really the trees that Guru Dev has, Narayana Maharaj had planted. The rest of the forest is pretty much.
The new trees were doing good, and they were
the new
big.
trees have been.
I didn't realize they were new till I was told they were new trees.
I met our godbrother Ranchor Prabhu, I don't know, maybe 20 years back, and he was putting in garbage cans all around Braj and planting trees as well. And
A lot of those projects were done, but they didn't work for some reason. They'd put the trees and they'd leave, and the trees would be in a cage.
I think he did it in conjunction with Prince Charles or something.
It was his princess, his sister,
and Princess Anne and Edward.
So anyway, but
the thing is that the lack of consideration for the local situation, the local people, a lack of research of what trees to plant. So they brought in a bunch of eucalyptus trees that they rob the ground from nutrients and dry everything out. And
who did that? The Ranchor didn't do that, did?
And the Prince Anne, there was wildlife,
they planted the wrong
WF
kind of trees.
something, WF.
They planted the wrong kind of trees.
Yeah.
But some of them weren't the wrong kind, but they just planted them on the side of the road and put them in cages, and nobody took care of them. They're still there, but they're this tall.
Right. And then there were sweepers, and there were people putting trash cans and like that. It didn't take consideration that there is a mafia, there's a union there of workers, and they got really upset. So they were killing the
Brajabandhus. They were putting the trash cans.
All these kids, they came, to be employed by this devotees or the people who wanted to do something good. So they were wearing this very proudly, these little jackets, with what was it called? Brajabandhus, friends of Raja. But they ruffled the feathers of all the local, the unions and like that.
Plus, the locals wouldn't use the trash cans. They would throw on purpose, throw all the trash out around it. But it actually worked for a while. There was someone that did the greening of Vrindavan, and he had posters all over, and everyone stopped using plastic, and all the wallas made burlap bags to take your things home in. That was real nice. But then it's Kali Yuga, so because it was a program that they just did and left, it didn't last. But then the other one that Narayan Maharaj set up, he did it with the people that lived there. So they actually took care of
and Vrindavan, he's loved. Prabhupada is really known and loved. Now, if you tell them both, I'll tell you, we were ushered into the cave, ushered into the yoga pit of Vrindavan, which is where Govindaji was installed, the teal is a hill. And there is a cave in there where Purnamasi is, the deity of Purnamasi, and the Pujari. As soon as we're Diksha disciples of Prabhupada, and then and we are Shiksha disciples of Narayana Maharaj. Please come with me. And all of a sudden we're inside the room, the deity room, with Govindaji right there.
And he's having us put our head on the deity's feet. But you were interrupting me again.
So all the
sorry, we're diverting again.
No, I was just trying to go back to the point of like Braj and the importance of Anugatya. When we hear these stories, whatever we want to do with Braja, we always should take shelter, especially trying to enter the spontaneous, the marga. There is a fantastic lecture that was recorded today with Bhatta, Achyutalal Bhatta. Amazing. It describes everything.
On YouTube.
So we'll talk about that later. I have to go. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I know when you're a Gopa, it's a busy life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not doing that great with it.
You can rely on your better half. She'll transmit tonight's nectar.
Oh,
Okay.
we can also watch it later on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yes, on Facebook. So
We do that a lot.
let him
We
read,
watch.
please.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So
Okay.
Kirani Maharaj was just saying that after he took his bath there at Uddhava Kyari Krishna Kund, he saw some illuminating lights. And these illuminating lights were the gopis. And of all the illuminating lights, Radharani's light was the brightest.
Wow.
And so the gopis came to ask Uddhava many questions. You know, how do we understand, you know, about the birds leaving the forest after the fire, or a prostitute leaves her suitor, you know, after, you know, the business is done. And Maharaj is saying that Radharani went into what's called Divyam Mad. There's 10 of madness, of anger, of intense, you know, feelings of separation and emotion, and it consists of 10 verses, which are consist of Chitra Jalpa, and her love comes out in a crooked way, he said, but she knows how Krishna can't live without her. And Uddhava is astonished at Radharani speaking to the bee, but she's also thinking that the bee is like Uddhava, who's coming as the messenger, and he's got some pink whiskers. And so she's thinking that must have been, you know, coming from the ladies of Mathura, from the kumkum of the ladies of Mathura. And he's saying roughly between verses 12 and 21, there's Prajalpa, Parijalpa, Adijalpa, Sujalpa, 10 accusations that Radharani makes to Krishna, expressing disrespect of Krishna. Parijalpa is accusing Krishna of devious behavior, and it's intensifying more and more. Each jalpa escalates to sanjalpa, which is the 5th of those emotional expressions. And Uddhava is totally astonished hearing, you know, this highest expression of prema from Radharani for Krishna. And Uddhava is smart enough to know that her anger is just due to her affection for Krishna. And then Maharaj asked the question, how long was it actually before Uddhava returned to Vrindavan? Because Krishna and Balaram went to study with Sandipani Muni for 64 days. And they learned the 64 arts and 14 sciences at that time. And then he was going on to say that, the Krishna Balaram went to Ujjain. They went to Ujjain to be in Sandipani Muni's ashram. And after Sanjalpa, then there's 5 more verses out of the depth of her anger. And I think, did he say, do you remember, Krishna Chandra, that Radharani starts becoming pacified by her venting? Do you remember him saying?
I don't recall that particular detail. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then there's Avi Jalpa, Ati Jalpa, and she's becoming relieved, he said, at her disgust of Krishna. and then in Parijalpa, Radharani, I mean, I was trying to take notes really fast, so I just got bits and pieces. Radha's mood gradually starts becoming humble. And when she comes to Sujalpa, her honest sincerity, and she's inquiring with great eagerness about Krishna. And then that kind of that was when you arrived, how these Gits are expressions of separation.
And the one I keep forgetting is the Jugal.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah, he said that. What is it? Pranaya?
Pranaya is referring to the life breath, prana. Pranaya.
Okay, thank you. Pranaya Gita, Gopi Gita, Jugal Gita, Bhramara Gita, and which one? What?
Venu Gita,
Venu Gita. Yeah, thank you.
and then Bhramara. So
And that-
Jugal,
Sorry.
Jugal refers to conjugal. Jugal.
Right.
So
right.
of course I forget that one because I'm afraid of being unqualified to read about it.
You're afraid of being
That's
unqualified.
the highest, conjugal.
Right.
Jugal. Right.
So,
But what
yes.
what was Sri Dundee reading? What?
Oh no, he was just speaking to me. I said,
Oh.
Maharaj, could you give me a little overview that we're going to be reading the Song of the Bee? He said,
Oh,
okay,
okay.
Kara, and then he just started speaking to me.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like there are books like I can't think of the name.
Gopal Champu,
Yeah, no, there are other books too, like
Tarartha Darshini.
one, yeah, that's one. The one about the fragrance that the wind carries from Radharani's cloth. There's so many amazing books. Then there's Prabhabananda, and
Prabhadananda Saraswati.
yeah, he has one about the path of aspirations, and they just blow your mind. And then Bhakti Raksha, not Shiraksha, Bhakti Sridhar, your god brother, what's his name? Bhakti
Srila Bhakti Swarup Sridhar Maharaj.
Right. He was giving a class once on the meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam, and when you mentioned the mad, the madness of Radharani, so Srimad is referring, Shri is Radharani, and Mad is the madness of Radharani.
Nice.
So the Srimad Bhagavatam is actually about Radharani's madness and love of Krishna.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Krishna Chandra Babu, could you please send me a link of you pronounce his name Bhakti Sridhar Maharaj?
Srila Bhakti Swarup Sridhar Maharaj.
Srila Bhakti Swarup Sridhar Maharaj. Could you please send me a link of him giving a talk on the Bhagavatam, please?
I'll see what I can find. There's usually a lot on YouTube. I'll have a look.
Just send me something, especially if it's a 10th canto, like around what we're studying. Because I would just like to hear him once at least, because I've heard so many good things from Bhavatrini and Hari Prabhus.
Sometimes people get upset because he'll spend days on part of one verse.
Wow. He goes very deep.
Right.
He really drills down.
And he reads all the commentaries of all our Guru Varga, the qualified commentaries.
Wow. Fantastic.
On Bhagavatam, there are 9. And
wow.
Yeah.
So then my question is, but didn't Srila Prabhupada do all of that for us?
Srila Prabhupada gave us everything, but it's like he didn't run us through everything. He gave it to us and it's there. And sometimes, and so he also said, you always need to be under the guidance.
Right.
So it's there, but I didn't understand so many things when I was a new devotee, and without specific guidance, sometimes you keep hearing something from Srila Prabhupada and you keep doing service and you keep chanting, and one day you go, oh, that's what that is.
Right.
Right. So it's not that he kept anything from us.
I mean, he can only jam so much into his purports.
Right. and he purposely, I'm noticing now that he purposely would leave things more simplified. I don't ever want to say that because some people use that as a way of criticizing him. But
Right,
it's kind of like he was talking to us in our language.
right.
So I was reading I've been reading his Bhagavad Gita, and then I'm reading Narayan Maharaj's Bhagavad Gita that has the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti and
Srila Bhaktivinoda?
no,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, I haven't been studying. I read it, I don't study it, so I forget. But that's my problem. I'm not a student anymore. I'm a lazy trying to keep up the pretense of being a devotee. Anyway, so the verse about, just like a small pond, a lake, a big reservoir of water can fulfill
Serve many purposes.
of the small pond. Well,
Right.
the word for word in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is various wells. And now it's been over 2 weeks since I read it. So I don't remember. If you might remember the English translation, what does Srila Prabhupada say? Does he say lake or reservoir of water?
I thought it was pond, not
No,
lake.
the big one, the big one. The pond is, he said, just like a small pond, all the purposes of a small pond
Oh,
fulfilled by a large reservoir of water.
right, correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
In the word for word, it says wells, various wells, and
Right,
it says a large lake, which is not much different than reservoir. But it was interesting that he translated it word for word, wells, various wells, and a lake. And then he said in English, for our understanding, a small pond and a reservoir of water. I could be wrong, he could have said lake. But anyway, Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, so Narayan Maharaj uses the wells, just like a large lake can fulfill all the purposes of various small wells. So Vishwanath Chakravarti is explaining how in their culture, there were different wells. One was for washing after you pass stool. One was for cooking. One was for drinking water. One was for bathing. So the translation is the various wells, all those uses that the different various wells have is fulfilled by a large lake. And so I was just noticing that Srila Prabhupada, like you hear people today saying, oh, well, Prabhupada is archaic and we need to give the modern language so people can understand it. But actually, Srila Prabhupada was catering to our culture, our society. And but he also gave us the word for word translations.
yes,
So
he did.
it's both there. Yeah.
Can I begin now with the,
No. I'm here to give a dissertation. Everyone has to listen to my neophyte ramblings.
no, that's not what I meant. Looks like it's just the three of us tonight.
I know.
Cozy party.
Right.
All right, so I prepared this a few days ago, actually, having fun making this slideshow. And but before beginning it, this is something I meditated on today, and I discussed it with Sikarani to get her feedback. This is the proposed schedule I'm suggesting to the devotees that I'll come a little bit earlier, and because I always need a few minutes to put the class on YouTube, write out a title, start singing the Krishna book song. It doesn't have to be me. If someone else comes at 7:15, it could be you, it could be Krishna Chandra. Then at 7:30, we actually begin the reading at 7:30. So we actually get in solid reading, not that we start reading at 7:45, you know? So the reading starts at 7:30, and then this is our time. I mean, for you, I guess this is what I don't know if you're
2:30 p.m.
2:30 p.m. So then it will be 2:15 p.m. I guess, right?
Yeah, 2:15 p.m.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so we read for 20, this is, no, I'm just throwing this out there. This is subject to suggestions. But so, okay, so we read for, actually, it was supposed to be, begin reading for, it's supposed to be 20 minutes. Yeah, read for 20 minutes. And then questions and answers for 10 minutes. And then we go back to reading for another 20 minutes. And then another 10 minutes if there's any comments. I mean, there doesn't have to be comments or questions. We can just keep reading, but usually, you know, some devotees have a lot to share. And then at 8:30, we keep going until like we finish the chapter. Say it could be 10:02, or it might even take us up till 9 o'clock. And then by 9:15, we're done with questions and answers. Now, what do you think?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
What do you think, Krishna Chandra?
I'm on board.
Oh, good.
Okay, and I got my little bell here. So,
Nice.
so once we're at the 8-minute mark, like there's 10 minutes, so that will remind everybody that unless they want to hog the entire comment time, that they should keep their point to the point, because there may actually be others, including the younger devotees, that might have a question or, you know,
Or a comment.
or a comment. Yeah. This way we keep it interactive. Now, whether or not everyone will be merciful to Mahabodhi Prabhu, not that he wants us to be merciful to him, but he expressed to Daneshwar Prabhu that he can't fit into our program if he has to be restricted to a 3 or 4 minute comment. And I said, so how do you do it? He said, well, when I get someone like Mukunda, and he mentioned, I think, Mukunda and one other devotee, like devotees that are like, have a lot of information to share, then he kind of just gives the floor to them, and they still try to, accommodate everybody else to ask a question or make a comment. So I would like to, not that I'm trying to play favorites here, but I would like to be able to accommodate Mahabodhi so that when he does come, we encourage him to speak more. And, and maybe we won't keep quite as strict to a stringent schedule like this, but
if people want to hear Mahabodhi, they can go to his classes.
Well, that's true too. So we don't have to include him. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to please everybody and how to include everybody. That's what I'm trying to do.
But I mean, that is like playing favorites. So
I'm busted.
You're saying that Mahabodhi's comments are more important than Krishna Chandra's or mine, or Namitri's or Sopakarani, or not that I care, but you're saying they have a lot more to say than us, and we should listen to what they say. But this is supposed to be reading Prabhupada's books, and I know that Mahabodhi has something up on you, even on.
No, it's not true, because he's gone into depth in Ananda Vrindavan Champu, Gopal Champu. He's read these books, Hari Vangsha, that expand. Like I noticed this when I went to the Badger Festival of Srila Narayan Maharaj back in 2008 or 7, whatever it was, and I saw how they took the 90 chapters of Krishna book over 3 days. And Srila Narayan Maharaj, he would be pulling out quotes from Ananda Vrindavan Champu. Oh, well, that day Krishna was wearing a purple dhoti. And I mean, he was just elaborating with knowledge that wow, he really knows the Shastras, because, I'd never heard all of these points. So, I don't want to play favorites, but at the same time, I'm thinking if he studied these 90 chapters to a greater.
But he may have studied them, and Tridendi has studied them.
But he doesn't come. Yeah.
But
anyway, I'm not going to push, this is I like democratic process,
Well, it's your program. If you want to have the information from the books that he's read, but
I want everyone to be happy at the same time, I want everyone to continue participating. So he personally offered not to come because he said he didn't want to be a disturbance to us.
Right.
He bowed out, and I didn't let him go. I said, no, please don't give up. Like, at least try to come on Friday when he's not busy with other classes
Uh-huh.
during the week.
Well, yeah, if you want to make an exception, and but you're going for, there's a big difference between him having so much knowledge and Srila Narayan Maharaj, who's a pure devotee.
Right.
you know.
No, but I mean, I'm almost at the point, because I know if Mahabodhi has many points to make, Nirhari Prabhu and your good self, Nandapatni, Jiva Mukta, you all have so much nectar to share. So I'm willing to like relinquish and just like pull out all the stops and okay,
But
Prabhu.
that's not what this program is. This program was for reading Srila Prabhupada's books.
Yes.
And I don't think that the discussion of the books should take more time than the reading.
So that's what I was grappling with.
Yeah.
That's what I was grappling with.
And if someone doesn't feel comfortable speaking in a shorter time, then basically he's saying that he has realizations coming from his heart and he doesn't want to be stopped. We're stopping it. It's just,
Uh-huh.
I don't like it. I think that's
One of the devotees in our group said, why can't we all just be humble?
yeah, well, I don't want to say he's not humble because I'm not humble otherwise. On humility, Achyutananda told a story today. It's real
Okay.
short. Duryodhana or Bhishma.
Oh, I know the story you're going to tell, but go ahead.
They were teaching Duryodhana and Yudhisthira. You know the story. Do you want to tell it? Or?
No, you do. It's vague to me.
I just heard it for the first time. So anyway, he sent Duryodhana to the village and he said, I want you to find one good person in the whole village and write his name on this leaf and bring it back. So Duryodhana gets back and he says, I couldn't find one person in this village. So I was the only good person there. I wrote my name on the leaf. And then he sent Yudhisthira and he said, Yudhisthira, find one evil person there and write his name on the leaf. So Yudhisthira comes back and he goes, well, I couldn't find anyone evil. And then it was near Jalakadasi and I saw one man taking water from the well. So I started to write his name on the leaf and then he went and gave the water to the cows. So then I realized that I was the evil person in the village because I was falsely accusing this person. So I've written my name on the leaf.
Nice. And they were answering, they were being accountable to Krishna or to who? Drona?
To Drona or Bhishma. He couldn't remember.
Okay. Yeah, wonderful story.
Yeah. So that's real humility.
Prabhupada also said, humility means to be bold for Krishna.
Right.
Because sometimes we think being humble means just, don't rock the boat and be politically correct and diplomatic and don't step on anybody's toes. And if someone's about to drive off the cliff, well, don't disturb them. If someone's cooking a chicken in Krishna's kitchen, well,
Yeah. So it's a fine line. But in my mundane position, I don't find Mahabodhi's dissertations. Whereas when I hear Tridundi speaking, it churns my heart.
Uh-huh.
And maybe he's just a more charismatic person. But I don't see why you should tailor your whole program because he's saying that he doesn't want to be disturbed when he speaks.
But he doesn't want to disturb us also. That's another way that's the way he says
no,
it.
he said
Yeah.
he can't he can't be checked when he's speaking.
Right.
Sounds like he's saying that he's a Mahabhagwat, and when he speaks, he shouldn't be checked, which I know he doesn't mean, but
No, just he probably just overflowing with information that he's
right.
inspired to share.
But we're not interested in information. We're
Well, I
interested,
mean, it's coming from Jiva Goswami, right? I mean, that information we're interested in, aren't we?
well, we're interested, but we're not interested for the sake of, oh, he's got so much information. You can have someone speaking so much and no realization, or it sounds amazing, but
Well, if he shows up, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, I know I'm probably just talking nonsense, but if that's, I mean, if that's what you feel is good, because then we can find out the information and we don't have to read it.
I'm
That's
experimenting. I'm experimenting.
yeah,
I'm just
that's why people like this group, because you're very open. It's not like it's very more
interactive.
interactive. Yes, it's very interactive.
That's how I wanted it to be, like a dialogue,
yeah.
but with the same time with a semblance of some kind of structure. So on that note, since we have well, if we go till 9:15 here, it still leaves us with 35-40 minutes.
Okay.
This is what I prepared for everybody here. The
Slideshow.
Gita, slideshow, yay. And here, let's share the screen here. Okay. I'm sounding like a bumblebee.
Oh,
Okay, there we are. Can you see that?
yes.
Song of the Bee, Bhramara Gita. Okay, Krishna Chandra Prabhu, would you like to start off, please? So this is actual painting of Uddhava meeting the Gopis.
You pulled me out.
Okay, there we go. Can you read?
Yes. Okay. The delivery of the message of Krishna to the Gopis. When the Gopis saw Uddhava, they observed that his features almost exactly resembled the features of Krishna, and they could understand that he was a great devotee of Krishna's. His hands were very long, and his eyes were just like the petals of the lotus flower. He was dressed in yellow-colored garments and wore a garland of lotus flowers. His face was very beautiful. Having achieved the liberation of Sarupya and having the same bodily features as the Lord, Uddhava looked almost like Krishna. In Krishna's absence, the Gopis had been coming dutifully to visit Mother Yashoda's house early in the morning. They knew that Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda were always grief-stricken, and they had made it their first duty to come and pay their respects to the most exalted elderly personalities of Vrindavan. Seeing the friends of Krishna, Nanda and Yashoda would remember Krishna himself and be satisfied, and the Gopis also would be pleased by seeing Nanda and Yashoda. When the Gopis saw that Uddhava was representing Krishna even in his bodily features, they thought that he must be a soul completely surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They began to contemplate, who is this boy who looks just like Krishna? He has the same eyes like lotus petals, the same raised nose and beautiful face, and he is smiling in the same way. In all respects, he is resembling Krishna, Shama Sundar, the beautiful dark boy. He is even dressed exactly like Krishna. Where has this boy come from? Who is the fortunate girl who has him for her husband? Thus they all talked amongst themselves. They were very anxious to know about him, and because they were simply unsophisticated village girls, they surrounded Uddhava.
Thank you. Bhavatrini, please. So here's a little more recent painting of Uddhava, surrounded by the gopis.
He's not blue.
Huh?
He's not blue.
No, he's not blue. So it wasn't so easy to find. I mean, it was difficult to find other paintings of Uddhava with the gopis.
It's a beautiful painting. It looks old style,
like 30s Art Deco or something.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
When the gopis understood that Uddhava had a message from Krishna, they became very happy and called him to a secluded place to sit down. They wanted to talk with him very freely and did not want to be embarrassed before unknown persons. They began to welcome him with polite words and great submissiveness. We know that you are a most confidential associate of Krishna and that he has therefore sent you to Vrindavan to give solace to his father and mother. We can understand that family affection is very strong. Even great sages who have taken to the renounced order of life cannot give up family members. Krishna has therefore sent you to his father and mother. Otherwise, he has no further business in Vrindavan. He is now in town. What does he have to know about Vrindavan village or the cows, pasturing grounds? These things are not at all useful for Krishna because he is now a man in the city. Continue or?
Yes, please.
Okay. Surely he has nothing to do with persons who did not happen to be his family members. Why should one bother about those who are outside the family, especially and specifically those who are attached as the wives of others? Krishna is interested in them as long as there is a need for gratification, like the bumblebees who have interest in the flowers as long as they want to take the honey out of them. It is very natural and psychological that a prostitute does not care for her paramour as soon as he loses his money. Similarly, when the citizens find that a government is incapable of giving them full protection, they leave the country. A student, after finishing his education, gives up his relationship with the teacher and the school. A rich man, after taking his reward from his worshiper, can you scroll?
Sorry, excuse me.
I'm going to fine you for not scrolling fast enough.
Okay.
After taking his reward from his worshiper, gives him up. And when the fruit season is over, the birds are no longer interested in the tree. Just after eating in the house of a lord, the guest gives up his relationship with the host. After a forest fire, when there is a scarcity of green grass, the deer and other animals give up the forest. And so a man, after enjoying his girlfriend, gives up his connection with her. In this way, all the gopis began to indirectly accuse Krishna by citing so many similes.
Finish.
Huh?
Finish.
Oh.
Finish it.
Uddhava understood that the gopis of Vrindavan were all simply absorbed in the thought of Krishna and his childhood activities. While talking about Krishna with Uddhava, they forgot all about their household business. They even forgot about themselves as their interest in Krishna increased more and more.
Thank you. This is
Driti.
painting of Srimati Radharani done by
Driti.
Vishnu Das Prabhu.
No, it's Driti.
Oh, is it Driti?
Mhm.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
It's amazing. Love it. This is the actual painting that appears in the 10th canto during Radharani's speaking to the bee.
Right.
This was actually commissioned.
Oh. Mhm.
I mean, there's an earlier Krishna book one, which is coming up, but this is from the 10th canto. So it says, one of the gopis, namely Srimati Radharani, was so absorbed in thoughts of Krishna by dint of her personal touch with him that she actually began to talk with a bumblebee, which was flying there and trying to touch her lotus feet. While another gopi was talking with Krishna's messenger, Uddhava, which I'm imagining that's what's going on in the background there, if you can see.
Yeah.
Left. While another gopi was talking with Krishna's messenger, Uddhava, Srimati Radharani took that bumblebee to be a messenger from Krishna and began to talk with him as follows. Bumblebee, you are accustomed to drinking honey from the flowers, and therefore you have preferred to be a messenger of Krishna, who is of the same nature as you. I have seen on your mustaches the red powder of kumkum, which was smeared on the flower garland of Krishna while he was pressing the breast of some other gopi girl who is my competitor. You are feeling very proud by touching that flower, and your mustaches have become reddish. You have come here carrying a message for me. You are anxious to my feet. But my dear bumblebee, let me warn you, don't touch me. And I know that's your song, Bhavatrini, which I'm looking forward to hearing.
Thank you.
I don't want any messages from your unreliable master. Actually, you included all these lines directly into your song.
Sort of.
You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. It may be that Srimati Radharani purposefully addressed that bumblebee sarcastically in order to criticize the messenger, Uddhava. Indirectly, Srimati Radharani saw Uddhava as not only resembling Krishna's bodily features, but as being equal to Krishna. In this way, she indicated that Uddhava was as unreliable as Krishna himself. Srimati Radharani wanted to give specific reasons why she was dissatisfied with Krishna and his messengers. Bumblebee, you are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. How does that line go, Bhavatrini? Can you sing that part?
You are the
Bumblebee.
yeah, my dear bumblebee. Let me warn you, don't touch me. It's the second verse. You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. All about Krishna we know very well, much more than you could ever tell. I'm not sure. Let me see.
You'll get it back.
I can't think of it without singing the whole song sometimes.
Okay.
This is one of my versions of it.
Papa Punj Prabhu, please join our Krishna book reading. We still have almost a half an hour left. That's why I can't get through to you. We're in the middle of reading Radharani speaking to the bumblebee.
Mm-hmm.
So I've sent you the link before. It's also at the top of my page, on my Facebook page. You just go there and you click on the link, you copy the ID, and that ID number will get you into the Zoom. Please join us for 15, 20 minutes, okay? Thank you, Prabhu.
Oh, it's at the beginning of my song. My dear bumblebee, let me warn you, don't touch me. You are the unreliable servant of an unreliable master. Krishna kissed us, then he left altogether. And this is my latest drawing of bumblebee.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you paint any of the BBT art too?
Oh no, my painting's more cartoony.
Okay. Well, they have their function. That's pretty cool. Yeah. So here in this painting, Srimati Radharani is on the far left, And this what this is explaining is that Radharani is the source of Prakriti or Durga in the center, and
Wow.
Lakshmi Devi on the right. It's supposed to be on the right. Yeah. And this is the 8 different forms of Lakshmi Devi, which I don't know about the 8 forms, but anyway, Radharani, Prabhupada is going to make reference to Lakshmi Devi here. So Krishna Chandra Prabhu, can you continue, please?
Of course, Prabhu. She addressed the bumblebee. Your master Krishna is exactly of your quality. You sit down on a flower, and after taking a little honey, you immediately fly away and sit in another flower and taste. You're just like your master Krishna. He gave us the chance of tasting the touch of his lips and then left altogether. I know also that the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, who is always in the midst of the lotus flower, is constantly engaged in Krishna's service. But I do not know why she has become so captivated by Krishna. She is attached to him, although she knows his actual character. As far as we are concerned, we are more intelligent than that goddess of fortune. We are not going to be cheated anymore by Krishna or his messengers. According to expert opinion, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is a subordinate expansion of Srimati Radharani. As Krishna has numerous expansions of Vishnumurtis, so his pleasure potency Radharani also has innumerable expansions of goddesses of fortune. Therefore, the goddess of fortune Lakshmiji is always anxious to be elevated to the position of the gopis.
So
Sure.
I said it like this. I said,
Okay.
My dear Bumblebee, don't touch me. We don't know why one like him has captivated Lakshmi. We are not such fools as she. Our mistake won't be repeated. By Krishna and his messenger, we will no longer be cheated.
Very nicely done. That's great.
Yeah.
So here's the original painting. Do you know who did this one?
No, I love this one. It's got so much color and vibrance and movement.
Your turn, Bhavatrini.
Srimati Radharani continued, you foolish bumblebee, you're trying to satisfy me and get a reward by singing the glories of Krishna. But it is a useless attempt. We are bereft of all our possessions. We are away from our homes and families. We know very well about Krishna. We know even more than you. So whatever you make up about him will be old stories to us. Krishna is now in the city and is better known as the friend of Arjuna. He now has many new girlfriends, and they are no doubt very happy in association with him, because the lusty burning sensation of their breasts has been satisfied by Krishna. They are now happy. If you go there and glorify Krishna, they may be pleased to reward you. You are just trying to pacify me by your behavior as a flatterer, and therefore you have put your head under my feet. But I know the trick which you are trying to play. I know that you are a messenger coming from a great trickster, Krishna. Therefore, please leave me. I can understand that you are very expert in reuniting two opposing parties, but at the same time, you must know that I cannot place my reliance upon you, nor upon your master Krishna. We left our families, husbands, children, and relatives only for Krishna, and yet he did not feel any obligation in exchange. He has left us for lost. Do you think we can place our faith in him again? We know that Krishna cannot be long without the association of young women. That is his nature. He's finding difficulty in Mathura because he's no longer in the village among innocent cowherd girls. He is in the aristocratic society and must be feeling difficulty in making friendships with the young girls. Perhaps you've come here to canvass again or to take us there. But why should Krishna expect us to return there? He is greatly qualified to entice all other girls, not only in Vrindavan or Mathura, but all over the universe. His wonderfully enchanting smile is so attractive, and the movement of his eyebrows so beautiful that he can call for any woman from the heavenly, middle, or plutonic planets. Mahalakshmi, the greatest of all goddesses of fortune, also hankers to render him some service. In comparison to all these women of the universe, what are we? We are very insignificant.
Krishna advertises himself as very magnanimous, and he is praised by great saints. His qualifications could be perfectly utilized if he would only show us mercy, because we are downtrodden and neglected by him. You poor messenger, you are only a less intelligent servant. You do not know much about Krishna, how ungrateful and hard-hearted he has been, not only in this life, but in his previous lives also. We have all heard this from our grandmother, Purnamasi. So that's the deity of Purnamasi at the Yoga Maya.
Oh,
You know, have you seen her?
At where? The yoga pit?
Yoga Maya temple in Vrindavan.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't
She has,
remember.
she has informed us that Krishna was born in a Kshatriya family previous to this birth and is known as Ramachandra. In that birth, instead of killing Vali, an enemy of his friend, in the manner of a Kshatriya, he killed him just like a hunter. A hunter takes a secure hiding place and then kills an animal without facing it. So if you look in the middle painting there, there's Ramachandra and Lakshman hiding behind a tree, and they're getting ready to shoot Vali with the arrow. So Lord Ramachandra as a Kshatriya should have fought with Vali face to face, but instigated by his friend, he killed him from behind a tree. Thus he deviated from the religious principles of a Kshatriya. And so we see Vali being shot there by one of Ravi Varma's paintings. I forget exactly. I went and I actually looked it up last week, that it was not a breaking of a religious principle when Vali was shot. It was not, but I can't remember the reason why. I don't know if either of you know the reason.
Nope.
Okay, that can be looked up. Okay, Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Also, he was so attracted by the beauty of Sita that he converted Surpanaka, the sister of Ravana, into an ugly woman by cutting off her nose and ears. Surpanaka proposed an intimate relationship with him, and as a Kshatriya, he should have satisfied her. But he was so selfish that he could not forget Sita Devi and converted Shurpanaka into an ugly woman. Before that birth as a Kshatriya, he took his birth as a Brahmana boy, known as Vamanadev, and asked charity from Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj was so magnanimous that he gave him whatever he had, yet Krishna as Vamanadev ungratefully arrested him just like a crow and pushed him down to the Patala kingdom. We know all about Krishna and how ungrateful he is. But here is the difficulty. In spite of his being so cruel and hard-hearted, it is very difficult for us to give up talking about him. Not only are we unable to give up this talk, but great sages and saintly persons are also engaged in talking about him. We Gopis of Vrindavan do not want to make any more friendships with this blackish boy, but we do not know how we shall be able to give up remembering and talking about his activities. Since Krishna is absolute, his so-called unkind activities are as relishable as his kind activities. Saintly persons and great devotees like the Gopis cannot give up Krishna in any circumstances. Lord Chaitanya therefore prayed, Krishna, you are free and independent in all respects. You can either embrace me or crush me under your feet, whatever you like. You may make me brokenhearted by not letting me see you throughout my whole life, but you are my only object of love. In my opinion, Srimati Radharani continued, one should not hear about Krishna because as soon as a drop of the nectar of his transcendental activities is poured into the ear, one immediately rises above the platform of duality, attraction, and rejection, being completely freed from the attraction of material attachment. One gives up the attachment for this material world, family, home, wife, children, and everything which is materially dear to every person. Being dispossessed of all material acquisition, one makes his relatives and himself unhappy. Then he wanders in search of Krishna, either as a human being or in other species of life, even as a bird. It is very difficult to actually understand Krishna, his name, his quality, his form, his pastimes, his paraphernalia, and his entourage. Painting Rama Spurns the Demon Lover, illustrator, Warwick Goebel, year 1913.
That's the one on the left.
Yeah.
Surpanaka. I was just thinking it's kind of like Krishna's, the Gopis or Radharani specifically is doing an ad hominem against Krishna. You can't trust this Krishna. You know, he shot people in the back with his bow and arrow. As Vamana, he came, he took everything away from Bali. Instead of showing mercy to Surpanaka, he spurned her. He's so It's pretty hilarious, actually.
Well, it's like what we were reading. Uddhava was doing the opposite. He's saying that Krishna should give mercy to him because he gave mercy to Indra, who just offered him a little bit of water. Indra was trying to kill him.
Who was saying this? Who was saying that?
Akura. I said, no, Akura, not Uddhava. So we were just reading that. So Akura is saying, yeah, Krishna is so merciful. Indra just offered him a little bit of water. And Vamana Dev just gave him 3 steps of land and a little bit of water. So actually Indra was trying to kill him and flood him, but he's praising Indra, saying how he offered him a little water. And then Vamana Dev gave him the entire universe in his head and the Ganges, So it was, you see a lot of things like that. Remember, I was asking why they speak like that. Of course, Tridandi was just explaining the madness of Radharani and the types of Prajalpa. Like Nrihari was explaining that Radharani's speaking is also called Prajalpa, but it's the highest speaking possible. It's like the transcendental counterpart.
Interesting.
Of Prajalpa.
Interesting.
So in my song, I just leave off with her telling the bumblebee to leave.
Right.
Yeah, and then it's a coloring book. So that picture I did was just a colored version.
I've got it. I've got at least one copy here.
Right. Oh, okay. So it's and Radharani is very clever and sarcastic, and it's like the way she's speaking. But actually, the bumblebee is Krishna. So that's verified in different scriptures.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. And so in the book, I don't say it, but when I perform the song, when I finish singing, Please Leave Me, I say, wait, stop, come back. Don't tell Krishna I said those things, I didn't mean them. Because I believe Radharani says something like that in the end, but we haven't gotten to that yet. Yeah.
I remember as a new bhakta reading this story, and it just like totally blew my mind. I just had like no frame of reference. Wait a minute. He's Krishna's favorite devotee, and the gopis, and they're just damning Krishna. And I got a little glimpse. I can understand it's because, you know, when you really have strong affection for someone, I mean, there's a saying in the material world that when you stop arguing and fighting, that's the end of the relationship. But as long as you're fighting it out, that means there's still some desire to keep it together, right? I mean, that's a mundane example, but okay. So I think whose turn is it now? You just read. Was it you that just read, or no? Krishna Chatra read.
I just read, yes.
Okay, Baba
Oh, is your mother home from the hospital?
She is home. Thank you for asking. She's just in a little bit of pain. I think she picked up a bit of an infection from the hospital, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
Glad
Mom,
you feel better.
thank you. I appreciate it. Mom, you have anything to say to the devotees?
thank you.
She said thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for being so patient with your pain.
Try.
Okay.
Mm.
I hope Krishna will provide you with his ingredients to help alleviate your pain. And things that come to my mind are like lemon water because of the vitamin C. It helps to bring down inflammation, or aloe vera juice.
Mm. Mom, you want some lemon juice?
I will take it. I will be thankful for it.
Okay.
So this is a painting here, a modern painting of I don't know who did it, but this is also Radharani talking to the bee.
It's so beautiful.
It
She
is.
looks oriental, doesn't she?
Yeah, with slanted eyes. You see the
Yeah.
big bee there in the right corner?
Yeah, that's like me. My bee's bigger than a bird.
Do we know the artist?
No,
I don't know. I've seen this picture before, but I think Gora showed it before.
I think
Where
I
did you find it?
what's a Pinty Rest? It's called Pinty Rest or Pinty Rest. There's thousands and thousands of paintings there. Pinterest.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's your turn, Bavatrini, isn't it?
oh, okay. Srimati Radharani continued to speak to the black messenger of Krishna. Please do not talk any more about Krishna. It is better to talk about something else. We are already doomed, like the black spotted she-deer in the forest who are enchanted by the sweet musical vibration of a hunter. In the same way, we have been enchanted by the sweet words of Krishna, and again we are thinking of the rays of the nails of his toes. We are becoming more and more lustful for his association. Therefore, I request you not to talk of Krishna anymore. I have that in the song too, not all the details, but I have her saying all of, doomed by Krishna's enchanting words, sweet, we can only think of him and constantly weep. Krishna, are you, we cannot believe. We gave everything up only to grieve. Do not speak of him, it brings only pain.
Nice.
I could just meditate on that song the rest of my life and not do anything else, chant the holy name.
Yeah,
Right.
so much there.
Yes.
This
So-
talk of
Yeah. So okay, this talk of Radharani with the bumblebee messenger and her accusing Krishna, and at the same time, her inability to give up talking about him, are symptoms of the topmost transcendental ecstasy called Mahabhav. The ecstatic Mahabhav manifestation is possible only in the persons of Radharani and her associates. Great acharyas like Srila Rupa Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur have analyzed these Mahabhav speeches of Srimati Radharani, and they have described the different sentiments such as Udgurna, bewilderment, and Jalpa Pratil Jalpa, talking in different ways. In Radharani is found the science of Ujjwala, or the highest, or the brightest jewel of love of God. While Radharani was talking with the bee and the bee was flying hither and thither, it all of a sudden disappeared from her sight. She was in full mourning due to separation from Krishna and was feeling ecstasy by talking with the bee. But as soon as the bee disappeared, she became almost mad, thinking that the messenger bee might have returned to Krishna to inform him all about her talking against him. Krishna must have been very sorry to hear it, she thought. In this way, she was very much overwhelmed with another type of ecstasy. In the meantime, the bee flying hither and thither appeared before her again, and she thought, Krishna is still kind to me. In spite of the messenger carrying disruptive messages, he is so kind that he has again sent the bee to take me to him. Srimati Radharani was very careful this time not to say anything against Krishna. My dear friend, I welcome you, she said. Krishna is so kind that he has again sent you. Krishna is so kind and affectionate to me that he has sent you back, fortunately, in spite of your carrying my message against him. My dear friend, you can ask for me whatever you want. I shall give you anything because you are so kind upon me. You have come to take me to Krishna because he is not able to come here. He's surrounded by new girlfriends in Mathura, but you're a tiny creature. How can you take me there? How will you be able to help me in meeting Krishna while he's taking rest there along with the goddess of fortune and embracing her to his chest? Never mind, let us forget all these things about my going there or sending you. Please let me know how Krishna is faring in Mathura. Tell me if he still remembers his foster father, Nanda Maharaj, his affectionate mother, Yashoda, his cowherd friend, and his poor friends like us, the Gopis. I am sure that he must sometime sing about us. We served him just like maidservants without any payment. Is there any possibility that Krishna will again come back and place his arms around us? His limbs are always fragrant with the aguru scent. Please put all these inquiries to Krishna.
Is a guru a type of wood?
I think so. Do you know Krishna Chandra?
This is also taken from the Bhagavatam itself, the new edition. This painting is actually there during this conversation. It's a painting that goes with the
so sweet.
yeah. Overwhelmed with the sentiments of love and separation from Krishna, Srimati Radharani remembered the many intimate moments she had shared with him in the groves of Vrindavan. Krishna Chandra, okay, so this is the famous painting. This painting specifically is what this chapter is all about. Uddhava bringing a message to the Gopis.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
So, or is it? Yeah, I just read my little part. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. So yours was relatively short. Okay. I guess. Thank you. Uddhava was standing near, and he heard Radharani talking in this way, as if she had become almost mad after Krishna. He was exceedingly surprised at how the gopis were accustomed to think of Krishna constantly in that topmost ecstasy of Mahabhav love. He had brought a message in writing from Krishna, and now he wanted to present it before the gopis, just to pacify them. He said, "My dear gopis, your mission of human life is now successful. You are all wonderful devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are eligible to be worshipped by all kinds of people. You are worshipful throughout the three worlds because your minds are wonderfully absorbed in the thought of Vasudeva, Krishna. He is the goal of all kinds of pious activities and ritualistic performances, such as giving in charity, rigidly following the austerity of vows, undergoing severe penances, and igniting the fire of sacrifice. He is the purpose behind the chanting of different mantras, the reading of the Vedas, controlling the senses, and concentrating the mind in meditation. These are some of the many different processes for self-realization and attainment of perfection of life. But actually, they are only meant for realizing Krishna and dovetailing oneself in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita also. Although there are descriptions of different kinds of processes of self-realization, at the end, Krishna recommended one should give up everything and simply surrender unto him. All other processes are meant for teaching one how to surrender ultimately onto the lotus feet of Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita also says that this surrendering process is completed by a sincere person executing the processes of self-realization and wisdom and austerity after many births. Since the perfection of such austerity was completely manifested in the life of the Gopis, Uddhava was fully satisfied upon seeing their transcendental position. He continued to say, "My dear Gopis, the mentality which you have developed in relationship with Krishna is very, very difficult to attain, even for great sages and saintly persons. You have attained the highest perfectional stage of life. It is a great boon for you that you have fixed your mind upon Krishna and have decided to have Krishna only, giving up your family, home, relatives, husbands, and children for the sake of the Supreme Personality. Because your mind is now fully absorbed in Krishna, the Supreme Soul, universal love has automatically developed in you. I think myself very fortunate that I have been favored by your grace to see you in this situation." When Uddhava said that he had a message from Krishna, the Gopis were more interested in hearing the message than in hearing about their exalted position. They did not very much like being praised for their high position. They showed their anxiety to hear the message which Uddhava had brought from Krishna. Uddhava said, "My dear Gopis, I am especially deputed to hear this message to you."
To carry.
I'm sorry. Pardon me, Prabhu?
To carry this message.
I apologize. To carry this message to you, who are such great and gentle devotees. Krishna has specifically sent me to you because I am his most confidential servitor. The written message.
So here's the punchline of the whole chapter coming up right now.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. The written message which Uddhava brought from Krishna was not delivered to the Gopis by Uddhava, but he personally read it before them. The message was very gravely written so that not only the Gopis, but all empiric philosophers might understand how pure love of God is intrinsically integrated with all the different energies of the Supreme Lord. From Vedic information, it is understood that the Supreme Lord has multi-energies, parasya shaktir vividhaiva shruyate. Also, the Gopis were such intimate personal friends of Krishna that while he was writing the message for them, he was much moved, and could not write distinctly. Uddhava, as the student of Brihaspati, had very sharp intelligence, so instead of handing over the written message, he thought it wise to read it personally and explain it to them.
Bavatrini, why don't you finish the evening by reading this last part, please?
Uddhava continued, these are the words from the personality of Godhead. My dear gopis, my dear friends, please know that separation between ourselves is impossible at any time, at any place, or under any circumstances, because I am all pervading.
I thought we should stop there. It's 9:20 here. I'm wondering about
Sure.
Bavatrini,
Yes.
do you have any comments on anything that stood out for you, what we read?
Well, it just, it's just, it sounds like the letter from Uddhava is not actually for them. It's for
What do you mean? Who's it for?
the empiricist and the other people.
That's what I was thinking. Exactly.
Yes. And I wonder if I don't remember, I haven't, Srila Prabhupada actually wanted me to read Krishna book all the time. He was telling me I could have my own room and take prasadam and read his books every day, like Krishna book. But I haven't read this in a long time. But I'm wondering if their reaction will be similar to when Krishna tells them to go home when they come to meet him.
Right.
Have you read it?
Kind of bewildering.
Right. And of course we read earlier that he's sending Uddhava there to go be under the guidance of the gopis so that he can see and try to go to a higher level.
Go from Aishvarya to Madhurya.
Right.
Yes.
But he's not successful. But then he wants to take birth as
The blade of grass.
yeah, and get the dust of their lotus feet. But what I don't understand is there's also prayers that we want to become a particle of dust of the lotus feet.
Uh-huh.
I really don't have any attraction for that. I don't understand at all. So.
Mr. Chandra Prabhu, do you have some thoughts on what we read?
I'm sorry, Prabhu. I'm just a little distracted. I apologize.
No, I saw what you were trying to manage there.
Thank you.
Got your
Yes.
hands full.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, so here's the Sarartha Darshini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Unfortunately, I've gone too far. Krishna establishes Dwarka. All right, I really don't have more to say on this. I just took a big hit of melatonin so I can get to sleep at night, because I'm by staring at a screen like this just before I go to bed. This is like, it's not the best thing to do. It's hard to go to sleep when you're staring right at the screen before sleep. So I don't. Yes, go ahead.
I was trying to find my notebook. I have 5 of the names of the commentaries, the ones that give comments on the Bhagavatam. So you were just saying Vishwanath Chakravarti, of course, knows Sridhar,
Right.
Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami. I only have 5, but next week we'll have all 9, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to know what those 9 are.
Yeah.
I contacted my friend Madhavananda Prabhu, Gaur Govinda Maharaj's disciple, and he sent me the Gopal Champu, and that's divided into 2 sections. There's the Purva Champu, which goes up to chapter 33, the appearance of Narada Muni, and a description of the year in which this book was completed. Ends with the killing of the Keshi demon, and then part 2 begins with attraction to Vraj, the cruel activities of Akrura, Krishna's departure from Mathura, a description of the city of Mathura, the killing of Kams, Nanda Maharaj's separation from Krishna and Balaram, Nanda Maharaj's entrance into Vrindavan without Krishna and Balaram, the studies of Krishna and Balaram, how the son of the teacher of Krishna and Balaram was returned, Uddhava's visit to Vrindavan, which is where we are, with Radharani's talking with the messenger of Bumblebee, the messenger Bumblebee. So I have the Gopal Champu commentary on this section.
Nice.
If we want to look at that. I think this is such an important part of the Krishna book. It merits maybe, next Wednesday, we can maybe look at some of this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that'd be wonderful. What do you think, Krishna Chandra?
I concur.
Good.
All right.
Okay. We had the smallest class this time. I guess it could get smaller. It could just be one person.
It started out with just me.
Yeah.
But the faithful Krishna Chandra, he's like there like a rock, and you're very regular also, Baba Trini. So thank you for keeping me afloat.
Well, thank you for doing this, and tell your mother to please get better.
I will do that. Mom, they're wishing you well, Baba Tarini. Good. Okay, don't be afraid, Mom. It's okay.
Yeah, pain is real difficult.
Because I think they don't want me to get well.
It's okay, Mom. We all want you to get well. That's all that matters.
That's why I was suggesting lemon water. It's harmless, and aloe vera. Of course, if she's on all kinds of meds, then that's out of my realm. I don't.
Yeah, I'd rather her not be on them. It's just difficult, when doctors are involved.
I understand. I won't even go there.
I understand.
Baba Trini, what was I going to ask you? Yeah, I wanted to ask you too, it takes quite a bit of time for me to gather all of these paintings to go in sync with the writing. Do you think it's worth it that I do this? I mean, does it help?
I love it. It's just amazing. What a wonderful service. You should turn them into YouTube videos.
I've been wanting to do this actually for many years, and I'm just getting around to it finally now. I'm feeling the impetus because I know devotees are coming. So yeah, it takes a good chunk of my day. I mean, what else is there to do, right? I mean,
it's a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah. So, okay, great. We'll continue on Wednesday then. This is such a, I'm just being reminded, this is such an important part of the Bhagavatam. Wow.
Right now we're studying separately. Every 2 weeks we're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we're on the appearance to Vasudeva of Krishna, and with these 9 commentaries. So the verse about Bala, he's called Bala Kota, and it's translated the infant child, but actually it refers to the child who is a son, who is God. The word, I think it's kata, it also means Brahma, or Brahman, not like God. So, and then it also refers to a young girl, or the Gopis, or the Gopas. So it's so many meanings which get deeper and deeper. And we've been on this one verse, 2 verses together for about a month and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. I'm about to fall asleep.
Oh yeah, you took the melatonin. Please go and dream about Krishna.
I hope so.
Prabhupada. And
this Wednesday, if Krishna allows.
Yeah, I have my song I used to sing to my children now. Run along home and jump into bed. Pay obeisances, bowing your head. The very last thing I say unto you, you dream of Krishna and Prabhupada too.
Jai. That's just what I need to hear.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Krishna Chandra.
Titanam Pavanebhyo
Namo
Hari
Namo Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi
Hari
Hari
Hari Bol.
Bo Hari Hari Bo.
Hari Bol.